Welcome to The Crunch with Crib. I'm Jess, and each episode I'll be talking with some of WA's best real estate agents and business people to find out what makes them tick and what lessons they've learned on their journey to success. Fleur Kane is a woman on a mission. Starting her sales career with ACTON Real Estate in 2012, she's since made her mark on her patch in Coogee and shows no signs of slowing down. We've been watching Fleur's career go from strength to strength in the Crib office, so we thought it was about time to get her in for a chat about what drives her passion for real estate. Fleur, welcome to The Crunch.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming in. Now, we normally get started, and I want to get started with you with your background because I understand you had a bit of a unique upbringing.
Yes.
So I wanted to just, ask about that to get things rolling.
Definitely. Okay. So where do I get started with that? Well, for my early childhood years, I grew up on Bruny Island, which is in the very southern end of Tasmania.
Mm-hmm.
My parents had a camel farm there.
Oh,
so,
right.
Yes, we gave camel rides to tourists. That was their business. And it was quite seasonal in Tasmania, given that it's a bit cold in winter.
Yeah.
So usually we would be based on the farm for about 6 months of the year over summer, giving camel rides.
Mm-hmm.
And in the winter months, we would follow the show circuit right up to Brisbane and back down again. For
oh my
anywhere
goodness!
from 3 to
Shows
6
like
months.
Carnivals.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Carnivals. Yeah. So that was up until I was about 12 years old. My stepdad then got a job offer. He's German originally, so my whole family's from Germany. He got a job offer back in Switzerland, so he ended up taking that. And when I was 12 years old, we moved to Switzerland, and I did all of my high school years over there.
Wow. I assume there's no camels in Switzerland.
No. So the camels got adjusted out onto a big friend station. They're actually still there to this day, most of them. And just did high school over there. They worked over there. And then at the age of 16, I had the choice between either going to live with some friends in France and being an au pair, which my parents really wanted me to do, to learn French.
Yeah.
I really wanted to go back to Tassie and finish college with my best friends. So went back to Tassie and did that.
Okay.
At the point that I finished college, there wasn't really anything I wanted to do at uni. So I just worked on adventure boat cruises and travelled around a bit and, lived the dream at that point.
There you go.
Yeah.
So the reason that I wanted to start with that was then to kind of lead into how did you get into real estate and how did you find yourself in Perth? Because you started real estate quite young.
Yes, I did.
So what was the kind of journey from adventure boats?
So I think it was shortly before my 19th birthday. I was kind of getting a little bit restless in Tassie, and because I was travelling, I decided I wanted to move somewhere else and try out something new.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the people that I worked with there also worked seasonally but came up in the winter season to the Kimberleys, or they'd work on the Rottnest boats and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of my colleagues worked in Perth and they all kind of recommended it and said, head on over, check it out. It's like a bigger version of Tassie, nice people, bit better weather, so you probably like it. So I was like, good idea. And my boyfriend at the time was in the Navy in Melbourne, so he got a posting to Perth as well. So kind of took that opportunity and rode over. But I really fell in love with Freo when I first arrived here and looking for a rental around Fremantle.
Mm-hmm. So
I walked into the LJ Hooker office, it was at the time in Freo, got chatting to the receptionist about rentals, and then I was kind of like, I've always wanted to get into real estate. How do you actually get a job in real estate? Because it's kind of a bit of a unknown kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the director was standing behind her at the time on the printer and said, one of our property management assistants has just left. It's not a job you need to be licensed for. Do you want to come in and have an interview? And here I am ever since then, being in real estate.
What made you, what sparked your interest in real estate through all that time when you were, doing something that was so far removed from it?
Yeah, look, I'd always loved it. I mean, I've always dealt with people throughout every aspect of my life and kind of been in the public. So I knew there was the element of just dealing with a lot of different people and a lot of different circumstances. But even as a kid, I'd kind of always pulled out the real estate sections and just looked through the homes and always been really fascinated by that. So it was just something that was there in the back of my mind and then spontaneously just came up in conversation at the right time, I guess, and fell into it, but really, really loved it and never looked back since.
Unreal. There you go. So how did you get from property management assistant? When did you start selling?
Yeah, so that was kind of a bit of a transition. So the aim was always to get into sales. At the time, that was the only position that they had. And they said, look, give this a go. It'll give you a good foot in the door. So I did that. And then during that phase, got my license to sell. Then I became the sales administrator. At that point, the two business directors decided to split the partnership, and one of them went and opened up the ACTON office, which I now work for. So I went across with John, set up the sales admin department in that office and set up a lot of the office. And then my reward at the end was that I got to eventually transition into sales. So that was in 2012.
Okay, amazing. So 7 years ago.
Yes.
7 years ago.
Yeah, it is now.
So now your first year of sales, you won ACTON's Rising Star Award, I
Yes,
believe.
I did. Yeah.
What do you put your success down to that was so early on?
That's a hard one. I think a lot of it was probably quite a heavy work ethic that was always instilled with me. So growing up around family business, my parents worked from morning until night. We all worked with them as kids. So I never really knew a 5-day work week. It was always kind of 7 days, exactly like it is in real estate. I didn't really come from having any money. I didn't move over here with any money. So I hadn't had to sacrifice anything, I guess. Even getting my, $32,000 retainer or whatever it was at the time seemed like a lot to me. So I was willing to work very hard for that.
Yeah.
And I just enjoyed it. So the fact that I wasn't afraid of hard work and I really loved the work that I was doing, I think I probably put in more hours than a lot of other young people were at the time. So that just accelerated things a bit for me.
Yeah. What did you love about it so much straight away?
Everything, really. The excitement of it all, I guess. I really like just getting to know different people's journeys. So I guess with every transaction or with every house transaction, there's a different journey for the people, whether it's kind of, moving on to their dream home or moving somewhere else. But they're all kind of unique circumstances, and just met a lot of wonderful people along the way, and it was just kind of addictive to be able to help them get to where they were going. And I think that's still what I love about it the most today. Yeah,
unbelievable. So tell me, what do you think 7 years ago, what are some of the biggest things you've learned in the last 7 years?
Biggest things I've learnt? Well, I guess with the way that the market's been, I've never really worked in a buoyant or booming market. So a lot of my clients tend to have lost anywhere from a couple of $100,000 to a couple of $1 million in some cases on their number one asset. So they're really difficult situations to navigate with people. So I think the biggest thing that I've learned is just to be able to have those conversations with people, to be honest with them and kind of try and figure out a way that they can make decisions to move forward with their lives.
Yeah. Do you think, I wanted to chat to you about being such a young female in real estate. Do you think, my first question, I guess, would be, early on, did that present any additional challenges, do you think? But also, do you think it's been harder for you to navigate those conversations with clients and that kind of thing, being a young female? Or has it been something that you've kind of learnt over time that, because now you've got some runs under your belt that, that doesn't matter anymore?
Yeah, so I think a bit of both. I think the skill set definitely develops over time because you kind of get introduced to more scenarios and things happen as you go along that you're then able to discuss a little bit more in detail with clients, and you have a little bit more credibility. But in terms of being a young female, I think my main issue in the beginning was really just my own self-doubt and kind of my own, I guess, disbelief, or going, will people actually believe in me to get the job done? Because what can I offer? But luckily I had, great people that I worked with and great mentorships throughout that phase that kind of really helped me along and encouraged me within that. And I'm quite fortunate as well. My marketplace is really made up of more self-made people. So they're not really snobbish in any sense, and they were always willing to give you a try as long as you worked hard, because they'd all kind of come from nothing and made something of themselves as well. So as long as I could prove that I would work for them and I'd be hungry to get the job done, it wasn't really a setback. I think the setback was more just mentally within my own head a lot of the time.
Getting over that mental. Okay. Now, I was in your office the other day. You mentioned the market.
Yes.
I was in the office the other day, and John said something that really struck a nerve with me, and I'm going to paraphrase, but he basically said something along the lines of, our grandfathers fought wars, and this was in response to me saying, how's the market, and, is it tough, and the same old thing. Our grandfathers fought wars, and I think everyone's basically overreacting about the market, and maybe they just need to work a little bit harder.
Yeah.
And it really struck me, I guess, because this was before the election, and it was such a different, I guess, sentiment or attitude than what I'd been hearing from people, which was, toughest time ever in our career. Do you think that's, I mean, you've been working with John for a long time.
Yep.
That attitude's something that you've really, you seem to be such a positive person that you take through your career. And how is that, different to what I guess you're hearing from other agents? How does that make you different?
Yeah, well, I guess our team as a whole, we probably try not to really listen or buy into too much negativity as it is. I think we all know that we're pretty fortunate to wake up and have the opportunities that we do have every day. So we're not really an office or a team that's spending much time focusing on the negative. And to be honest, when I do hear anything negative out there, I just try and avoid it because I don't like it, because I'm quite a positive person myself anyway. So I feel like it just sucks my vibes when people are being negative the whole time. And I still think, you look at it, and anytime you look at it and go, oh, this is the worst market ever, I turn around and look at other people that are still selling and still turning over plenty of properties. And it's more just finding the situations in the market that are right for your clients, where they want to turn over the properties in this market, and there's still plenty of business to be done. So it's probably not as easy as what it's always been, but on the point of John saying our grandfathers fought wars, I lived with my grandmother in Germany for 6 months, and she was the same age that I was starting in real estate when she was basically in the wartime and giving birth to her children in bunkers while the city was being bombed and that kind of thing. They had all of these horrible circumstances kind of forced upon them without any choice. We get to wake up and choose to do the job we do every day. If we don't like it, if we don't like anything we're doing, we can change. So we've got all the opportunities in the world, and I don't think we really have the right to complain about them. Yeah.
Such a great attitude to hear, at a tough time.
Yeah.
Tell me about the conversations. You mentioned those tough conversations that you're having with your clients at the moment. Some are losing hundreds of thousands of dollars. How are you what is your approach to those conversations?
Yeah, well, look, it all depends, I guess, on the outcome. It's really focusing always on the outcome of where the client wants to go to. Obviously, strategies around minimising that loss as much as possible, and still trying to create competition in this market amongst buyers as much as you can to kind of push that price up, but really being realistic of where they're at. But in a lot of cases, people that are moving on, in some cases they are upgrading, which is great because they're kind of picking up a bigger bargain on the other end for the loss that they're making. In other cases, it's more about having to cut the losses to move on with their life. But sometimes those losses, if it enables them to be free from certain things that they've been dealing with, well, then we need to focus on that outcome and getting themselves there. And I think, as we mentioned before, at least we still have opportunities where everyone here in Australia can pretty much rebuild themselves. So it's more focusing on where they want to go. How do we get as much money to get them there, but then what can they do with their next circumstance to kind of make that work? So more always just focusing on the outcome of where they want to be. Yeah.
What are some of the strategies that you are using at the moment to kind of increase that competition in your area?
Yeah, so variety of strategies, I guess, around pricing. At the moment in our market, we're finding kind of the broader range prices are working quite well. So the bottom end of the range to draw people in, the upper end of the kind of ideal expectation. But I just try and create a bit of an illusion of competition all the time, I guess. So whenever I've got a viewing booked in, say this is a private viewing, I'll always try and schedule another client to arrive within 15 minutes into that viewing, just to basically show and demonstrate to buyers that there are other people interested in the property. And I think, at the moment there definitely is, and it's starting to turn around a lot more, but kind of just always trying to put the seller in a position of strength that, look, we do have interest on this, and you do need to make your best offer to buy it.
Your market is Coogee. You sell Coogee.
Yes.
You also live in that area.
I certainly do, yes.
Was that something, you seem to love that area so much.
Yeah.
Is that, did the living come first, or did the selling come first in that area? I guess, was that a decision that you made to sell where you live?
Yeah, this selling actually came first in that area. So that was kind of the patch that I was originally given to work with, even from being in Freo. So I used to actually live in East Freo, but I was just on my own in a little apartment in there.
Yeah.
And I started finding it a bit of a hassle, even though like East Freo to Coogee is not very far.
Yeah.
Just if you'd forget something or you'd leave a key at home or whatever, it was just, took up a lot of unnecessary time in the day going backwards and forwards. And also as life kind of grows, Coogee is really, I guess, the closest spot to Freo that you can park a couple of cars, park a boat, have ocean views, have a backyard for your dog or kids or whatever it might be. So it kind of chose me in that regard, I guess, that it really suited the lifestyle that I wanted as well. So, yeah.
And it must be a suburb that's really changed over the last 7 years, I guess, or, it would have grown a fair bit?
It definitely has. So you've got, there's a few pockets to the area. There's the original, which was kind of all your old asbestos shacks and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Then you've got the late 80s, early 90s development, which used to be Coburn Waters. But since then, so either side of the suburb, north and south, you've got new developments and obviously the Port Coogee Marina as well. So there's a lot of new infill that's come in and probably at least, don't know the exact stats, but at least 500, new homes since I've started working there.
What do you find the benefits are to living in your farm area?
Well, it's kind of gives you a lot of credibility, I guess, for starters. So it definitely helps with buyers that are looking to move into the area. If they're unsure or they're from interstate, that I can really actually explain the benefits and be genuine about that as well, living in there. And it also helps with sellers because I think it comes across that you love the area and you're able to portray that to buyers as well. So I think it's only a benefit, really. I'd recommend it to anyone.
Any downsides?
No downsides, but I don't really live a very wild life. I don't drink anymore. So there's no, if I was coming home at 2 a.m. in Ubers and having to do home opens the next day and that kind of thing, you wouldn't really want people seeing you. Probably the only downside is I can't go to Woolies in my trackies because I always see clients down there. But if I have to live with that, that's okay. They look at your face on the bus stop and they're like,
it's a little different.
That's right. Not quite looking like your headshot today, Fleur. So I just try and go after work, after my appointments while I'm fully suited up because I normally run into a few clients down there. So, yeah.
Fair enough. What do you think you're doing differently down there? You're obviously killing it, absolutely killing it, doing really, really well. What do you think your main points of difference are to your competitors?
Look, I don't really know if I'm doing anything particularly different, I guess. I think it's more so doing or being myself quite well and just honing in on, I'd like to just hone in on my strengths and be true to myself and kind of double down on those things as my element of difference. Because I guess, there's no two of the same. So I've just focused more and more on being who I am, doing what I'm good at. If clients align with that, then they're going to be attracted to me because no one else is the same as me. If they don't align with that, then they're not attracted to that. But I think, anyone that's successful across the board can pretty much just identify what they do really well and focus on that.
What are those things?
Well, I think I'm very good at being involved in the community and giving a lot back to the community. So that's probably a strength in terms of, first of all, getting my face out there, but also just getting involvement and more of a subtle type of prospecting method, I guess, because I'm not really a full-on hammer the phones type of person. I just like to have conversations and get involved and that kind of thing.
So tell me just quickly what kind of community stuff. Surf Club you're involved with?
Surf Club predominantly, yep. So we're one of the major sponsors of the Surf Club and I also volunteer there as well. So I do all the grants writing and that kind of thing for the club. Aside from that, I've recently started my own little blog called Coogee Life.
Beautiful.
So just doing different write-ups on a variety of different things, whether it be events or certain things in the area, and getting involved with local businesses and cafes and cross-promoting them through social media and that type of thing as well.
Yeah.
So,
I imagine community like that, social media would be quite a strong point down there. Is that, are you fairly heavy in that regard or?
Yeah, certainly. I think it's something that's certainly grown a lot over the years as well. As you mentioned before, with parts of the suburb being quite new, you're getting kind of a demographic moving into that's really seeking a community.
Yeah.
So a lot of the new businesses are being quite active on social, and, you know, the clients going there are as well. And I think they're all craving that kind of real community feel. So that's certainly taking off more than what it was, where originally we kind of had your older Croatians and Italians and those types of things, which was a bit of a different demographic.
Social media is not the strength in that regard.
No, not the strength in that regard. Have to go down to the Croatian club for that one. But so that's probably one of them. And one thing that I do like to consistently do and that we consistently train on is negotiating and portraying negotiation to clients. So, you know, we're there to get the best results for our clients. And I think I try and portray that in a lot of stuff as well, that we're not really about pushing a deal over the line. It's more we want repeat business and referrals. So just do the right thing and the best thing by the people that you're working with all the time. So that's a strong message that comes across as well.
Any things that you've done in the past that that you really would never do again in your last 7 years, you know, things that you've maybe thought, that wasn't for me. That's not my jam in real estate. I've thrown that one at you, sorry.
Yes, you have thrown that one at me. Anything that I've done? Probably in the early, not my jam, probably lack of preparation sometimes in the early days, which has definitely lost me listings or lost me business. So I think no matter how familiar you are with an area, you've always got to be prepared. But I think the main thing that I try and avoid now is just don't take on the wrong type of client. Like there's some people that you just don't gel with. And I guess you used to really want to win everyone and be like, I want to have every single client. But I've just really realized there's no point, doing business with people that you're not kind of aligned with, that you don't get on with, because it does just create problems the whole way through. And no matter how good you are, they're still going to have a bad experience because they just don't like you.
You're not their
you
person.
don't like them by the end of it. So that's just kind of a negative way to do business. So I would just rather focus more on, doing business with people that are like-minded and we get along and have that nice symmetry, spend more time and effort on them rather than chewing up all this time and effort on people that, you maybe don't get along so well with. Yeah.
Beautiful. Is there anything that you do that you stand by that anyone, that maybe other people in the office go, Fleur, I don't agree with that, or things that you kind of really believe that everyone else is like, nah.
I wouldn't really say to that severity.
Yeah.
Within the office, I'm probably the most active person on social media.
Yeah.
And recently I made the decision to blend my personal and business social media together, which I think a lot of people are maybe a bit hesitant of doing and go, I don't know. But I think just on what we touched on before, I'm kind of at the point now where if people don't genuinely like who I am, then there's no point attracting that type of person anyway. So I don't want to have to put out two personas of this is the business me and this is the real me.
Yeah.
It's like, this is all me. My life is pretty much all real estate anyway.
Yeah. And in your, in your area as well. So
that's right. My spare time spent, in Coogee and that kind of thing. So it's relevant to the area. But that's probably something where some people go, you don't want to lose business for that. But I think that if it does lose me any business, it's probably not the business I wanted to have. Yeah,
absolutely. Last big question for you. What are your big goals? Any big goals on the horizon?
Big goals. I've got a couple of big goals on the horizon. So one of them, and I'm not sure how long it's going to take me to get there, but I know I eventually will get there. So I became the Rising Star the year after Vivian Yap, which are big shoes to fill. But
absolutely.
My big goal is to become Western Australia's #1 female agent. So it might take a little bit longer than her to get there, but I'm fighting along on the way day by day.
Good to have big goals like that.
Exactly. So that's probably my my big audacious goal that's out there.
Yeah.
And something that I've kind of recently been working on, and I'm trying to develop more. So if you actually know anyone that might be able to help with this would be good. But I want to set up a bit of a mentorship or a traineeship program for young adolescents that maybe aren't so fortunate in life or struggling with life and getting into careers, and kind of start a bit of a program of, getting them through real estate or taking them on under my wing. Because I think that real estate's a really great foundation for any type of career and teaches a lot of values that you can kind of apply in any career. So I'd love to kind of give back and maybe help some younger people that were a similar age to myself when I started, and try and get them on a track in life that they can have a blossoming career from.
Wow, that's exciting. I love the last couple of conversations we've had in here have been, we had Stuart Cox from the agency in, and then we had Cara and Glenn from Professionals, and both of those guys we chatted about how real estate, how do we make it become a career of choice, I guess, for kids in schools, and something, you said it was one of those things that you kind of always had an interest in, but it wasn't really a pathway that was laid out, and how do you get into it? And so, that's been something we've been chatting about more, is how do you get people in younger as an industry, I guess, and laid out for them. So that's really cool. It's
definitely.
Big, good goal to have.
Yes, thank you.
How
I'd
exciting.
love to, if you could, maybe even put me in touch with those guys.
Yeah.
'Cause it's certainly something, and I think the more heads that are together across the board in Perth, we could sit down and maybe work out a bit of a system of, how do you get it into high schools, or where can we go to help out and kind of introduce people to the real estate industry? Because as you say, it's not really laid out in front of people at an age where they're making career choices.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's something we can definitely do later on. So
cool. Very exciting.
I think that's a great note to end on, Fleur.
Brilliant.
I love the big goals. So I'm looking forward to seeing you kicking some of those in the next few years.
Me too. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much for your time. And hopefully we'll see you smashing it.
You certainly will. All right. Thanks very much.
Thanks. That's it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. We'd love any feedback or guest suggestions. So hit me up on Instagram. You can find me on Jess @Crib. And if you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe and be sure to tell a friend.